been in here before, right?
I've not been in this room. I mean, I've been in the building plenty of times. Yeah.
But you haven't done any recording.
Not done any recording. No,
It's kind of a nice little.
Really
you can flip that up. They could put the background on there, and you could, bring
it's like the real deal.
This is real cool.
I set up in my little blending lab and.
Yeah, I see the blending lab. I see the blending lab. I'm like, geez, man, that looks real cool. I mean, you're doing it. You got all your stuff, man. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And your buddy Dixon, he's got his pictures in the back, and I'm thinking, man, this guy's got, it's like a chemist lab on your stuff. You got just stuff everywhere. He's got his, hunting picture back there, and I'm thinking, okay, this guy, you've been around a while, so.
Wait to see what we're building out in Oakview. We've got
I can't wait to see it.
It's pretty cool. I was out there this morning putting some signs up and getting ready. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get started with this thing. And hey, everybody, this is Sean Lee, your realtor with Nebraska Realty. I got a special guest today. It's going to be fantastic. We've got all kinds of stuff from Golden Sheaf, and it's great history. This is David Mark Young with Golden Sheaf, owner and master distiller. Is that correct?
Master blender.
Master is that what it is? Master
blender? Yep.
Master distiller sounds a little bit like you're distilling moonshine.
Well, so that's the thing. That's one thing that separates us from a distillery is we're a blending shop. So we source aged barrels and then blend them together and create aged blended whiskeys.
Okay. Well, let's get started because this is fantastic. And you can check out the history and the website, GoldenSheaf.com, right?
GoldenSheaf.com.
GoldenSheaf.com. I'll put it on the bottom, so people could check this out. First 30 seconds. This is the most important. Sean Lee, Nebraska Realty. David Mark Young, Golden Sheaf. Go to GoldenSheaf.com. Check it out. You'll learn a lot. It's very historical. So. Give me a rundown. Tell me what you do. You brought all this stuff, and you got a lot of. Give it to me.
This is what I do. This is exciting. This is my life. First of all, thank you for having me here. This is an honor, pleasure. I love your show. I love what you're doing.
You are all right.
Good time.
Thanks.
So, any opportunity to showcase this is our baby. This is our brand. So, I wish I could take credit for all of it, but I can't. I can take credit for the blending. I do the blending. But Golden Sheaf itself is a brand that was born in the District of Nebraska in Omaha in 1866.
Wow. So I love it already. I love it already.
Way back. And we incorporated this top part here, distillery number 1, because it was Nebraska's first distillery. So it became a distillery in 1866. Nebraska became a state in 1867. I'll give you just kind of the wave tops, just the cool highlights.
The cool highlights. Let's do it.
Oh, man. So this grew to become the 3rd largest distillery in the country, right here in Omaha, Nebraska, pre-Prohibition. Prohibition was 1920 to 1933. A lot of really cool factoids, and these are the things that intrigued me and got me involved in this 3rd largest distillery in the country. They were one of 8 distilleries invited to continue distilling throughout Prohibition, and they respectfully declined because they were also the folks that had started the Omaha stockyards. Real funny story about that. So they're producing 13,000 gallons a day, 13,000 gallons of whiskey a day, which is pretty big, 3rd largest distillery. Yeah. So you can imagine, the distilling process. You've got your spent grains, your byproduct, and they were getting rid of that on a regular basis, which is time consuming, right? Well, they never really considered a resource until they were out on a run dropping this stuff off to a local pig farmer or cow farmer, and they saw these behemoth cattle off in the distance and said, gosh, what do you have going on out there? And they said, man, that's our premium stock. We feed them exclusively your free grains.
Your free grains. Your trash that you're getting rid of.
Your trash that you're getting rid of. So then light bulb, these guys are pretty smart entrepreneurs, and they said, gosh, we need to buy some cows. We need to buy some land. So then they diversified a bit, and then they got into the cattle industry. So when the temperance movement and Prohibition began to flare up, it was a no-brainer. They said, we're gonna get out of this. We're gonna shut down when we need to. They're shutting down production and sales of alcohol. Cattle's much easier, simpler. We don't have Uncle Sugar's hands in our cookie jar.
That's right.
So they pivoted, shut down the distillery in 1920.
Holy.
But they were generating upwards of 90% of the state tax revenue for Nebraska pre-Prohibition, which That's pre-prohibition, pre-income tax,
Yeah.
pre-Great Depression. So imagine in the late 1800s and early 1900s the infrastructure that was created because of this, and how critical it was. I mean, it was critical infrastructure essentially back in the day. Matter of fact, as the Great Depression started to loom, and there were riots, labor riots, and the governor dispatched the National Guard to the distillery, which was a 16-acre conglomerate down on the Missouri River, like 4th and Pierce Street, if you know, kind of Italy area, to protect the crown jewels in Nebraska. That's what it was. So for this to be that significant and have all of those really interesting facts, significant facts, I was curious to say the least. What the heck happened to it? Not a lot of folks have heard of it. Not a lot of people are familiar with it. So that's what we're doing. Is we shut down in 1920. We revived the brand in 2020. 100 years later, it had to be 2020. We wanted to say 100 years, not 99 or 101. That's when we got our first product out, batch number 1, like we were just talking about, and revive a Nebraska tradition, a Nebraska staple, and put it back on the map. And Nebraska's got its very own bourbon. I mean, there's some other whiskeys in town, but this is distillery number 1 and Nebraska's first bourbon.
I'm looking forward to tasting it. Just real quick, how do you? So I'm just thinking. Every time now I watch a cowboy movie, right? I'm picturing these guys just sipping this stuff, right? Because that's in the time,
right?
That I'm thinking. So I'm thinking, hey, these guys are traveling across, going out to, the thing out there. Is it Castle Rock? I always forget.
Absolutely.
Out east, West Nebraska. They're going across the trail. They're drinking something. And I just picture them with distillery number 1.
Yeah.
Sipping it. So that's been my thing ever since we watch your show and heard about Golden Sheaf. It's just real cool. Now, to me, you're like 25 years old.
26.
26?
Next month, yeah, for sure.
I mean, how did you know there was even 100, this distillery was even around? If they switch to the stockyards? How does that kind of come up? Man.
So I've been a whiskey guy for a long time.
Okay.
Specifically bourbon. I just appreciate bourbon.
All right.
Just an emphatic, and I don't mean that to sound like I just drink a lot of whiskey. I mean, I've always been intrigued by the back. That's part of it too. It's ebbs and flows, but we call that, by the way, product familiarization.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
There's a fine line between product familiarization and day drinking.
Yeah.
So now that I'm in the industry, it's all product familiarization.
Product familiarization, whether that's 10 a.m. or...
It could be 4 a.m.
It could be whenever.
Midnight. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no. I do want to say there is a safety element to this.
Oh yeah,
because absolutely, Dixon and I talk about that on the podcast because
blending bourbon. If you are a bourbon fan, I should just point that out. You do have the Blending Bourbon podcast, and it's really cool. If you want to see what happens, I mean, I've heard these stories. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is kind of my gig. That's why I'm amped up for
behind the scenes. We try to be transparent. Share the things there's so much that goes into creating a bottle, creating a label, putting the juice in there, the marketing, distribution, all the things. There's so much, just like every industry.
Yeah.
So rather than share, these are my top 10 favorite whiskeys of the week, or this is number 1, or comparing two side by side, and we do a little bit of that, but it's intended more to kind of peel back the layers and show behind the scenes of what really is
It's not just a bunch of barrels and, hey, you put that's kind of like real estate, right? Sometimes people think we just put a sign in the yard. Right. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of moving parts,
so, yeah. And if you check them out, Blending Bourbon, check these guys out. It's fun too. But enough of that. But, I mean, so you just found that just historical-wise, and you just got into the 1920s and said, hey, man, this is a cool, how do we approach that?
I was looking for something new. At the time, I was traveling a lot outside of Nebraska. And I've always made it a habit every time I leave. First, I touch down. As soon as I touch down, I'm looking for distilleries, and liquor stores, and seeing what's in the region that I can find there that I can't find back at home, and checking out all the new things. And so I spent a couple of weeks in Nebraska and was getting a little stir crazy and thought, man, let's just see what's new that I'm not aware of. And this popped up, and it wasn't clear what it was, if it was something new or if there was a Wikipedia page, but very minimal information. And that was intriguing in and of itself. Not having all the facts there, not having to go down a rabbit hole. And it seemed like the deeper I got, the more I wanted to go, more in depth. And then eventually, I found a few articles, and what I ended up doing was heading down to Lincoln and asking, hey, do you guys have historical archives that I can look through? And I did. They put me in the basement. I was looking at microfiche documents.
Okay, no kidding. Okay, wow.
I found all the things, and I was hook, line, and sinker. I think they realized after 2 weeks I had been down there and hadn't eaten or slept in 14 days. No.
They just let you run the microfiche machine. Right. Hey, just stay down there. You're fine. You need a bacon, egg, and cheese burrito.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
We'll get you some food. This was about 2014, and I couldn't believe that this had existed, had grown to the magnitude that it did, and then fell off the face of the earth.
Wow!
Because we all hear names like Dodge and Harney and all the names of streets and buildings and parks that are named after founders or significant folks in our geographic history, and there's really nothing that goes back because they pivoted abruptly. Everybody's familiar with the stockyards, and I couldn't believe that
this wasn't a part of that.
This wasn't a part of that. It's not celebrated like that. Yeah. So I continue to research and see what we can find, unearth, but also get this out into the market and tell a story. Continue to tell a story, and then continue to grow it as well. We've got a new version. This is Golden Sheaf 2.0, if you will. So we've got a little different business model, but in the tradition of just making amazing whiskey is what we're going with.
Well, we could talk about this all day, and I know you've got other stuff, so we better let's have a little sip. I'll keep asking you some questions, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
But what do we got?
We've got different bottles here. What this is the 3 most recent products. These 2 are hitting shelves this week, literally. Oh. This one's actually out in the market, and it's pretty much dried up. It's pretty difficult to find. This is a 9-year bourbon, a 9-year blended bourbon finished in a former maple syrup cask. So
that sounds like it's going to be.
Oh man,
I just got to say it.
I'm debating what we try here first. Let's start with this. Product number or batch 1, which was a wheated bourbon, was in this bottle, and we had a bunch left over, so we went ahead and revisited this. So this is kind of a one-time deal or a 2-time deal, if you will. And there's some. Is that enough for you, Sean? Or
that's probably going to be.
Of course, we don't have to drink it all, but we'll start with.
I appreciate you bringing these glasses for those people who have been watching this show religiously, Mom. And I started with those plastic cups, but they got these cool Golden Sheaf.
That's our logo.
Snifters.
These are they're whiskey. You know what these are? I think these are traditional. These actually came from Europe, so I think these started with either Scotch or Irish whiskey.
That smells delicious.
So this is 114 proof. I like to tell people that up front. Sometimes I like to wait though, just to get their reaction. Okay. If they know what they're doing, if they sip it. So it is a little bit hot.
So we're stirring up the esters by doing this.
I like to let it oxygen hit it a little bit. Okay. But might as well dive right in.
And you're a neat drinker.
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
And the water, you find that the ice changes it.
It does
quite a bit. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's a molecular change happening there. Matter of fact, I brought some distilled water. I carry these around because it looks cool, right? Why do you have a bottle of water? Well, because I'm a whiskey drinker. But also, you put a drop of water in there. 114 proof. Not everybody likes it at 114. So if you want to take it down a little bit.
Now, how do you do that? Just the longer it ages, or you just add more water, or thin it out? What's
Yeah, you just add more water.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You proof it down. So that's how. And I'll tell you just real quick. So this is 114 proof. This is I have to look at these. It's hard to keep track of. This is 116 proof, and then I believe this is 114. I'm sorry. And the reason these are all different proofs is because of the way that we blend. So we do unique batches from unique blends from batch to batch. And out of the barrel, I can tell you this was 129 proof out of the barrel.
Oh.
So we've developed a process to where we will dilute it down in 2, 3, 4 proof increments, starting at 129, all the way down to 80 or so, and then taste it at each level
to see when it gets to be,
and then take notes. And so in my experience, it's like a roller coaster. Typically, the flavor, we're looking for maximum flavor profile. And I always say there's this apex where the appropriate proof for that flavor profile, they intersect. And that's what we're doing.
Shooting for. Yeah.
We're on a mission to find that maximum flavor profile. And so it typically drops down, but every so often it'll spike again. And so I'll compare those notes, and we'll go all the way down to 80-ish or so, and then I'll do it backwards. I'll walk back up, and then take notes and analyze it. And this is over. We're not sitting here in a half hour time.
Right.
Sometimes this is weeks, and I hate to admit it, but even months if it goes that long. Very picky about what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's a good sign for people with this. I can't wait to taste this. I mean,
go ahead, yeah. And then I'll tell you, the last part is blind. I'll go ahead and I'll do the same exercise, but I'll do it blind. And I have no idea what I'm drinking. The guys could have me start at 80 proof. They could have me start at 112 or back at the top.
Oh.
120. And so I will annotate where we're at flavor profile wise. And so far, batting 1,000. That doing it blind and knowing what I'm drinking, they align.
I gotta sip this thing. I mean,
yeah, dive right in. What are you getting, Sean? It's pretty hot, isn't it?
It's got I like it. I mean,
do you? Okay.
I do like it. It smells great. I mean, I wish I could. I'm terrible with deciphering what's going on.
I'm sure you're great at it. It's everybody does it
as far as this.
Way.
Well, this is good stuff, and this is the syrup one.
Finished in a maple syrup cask, yeah. So, and I want to clarify, finishing in a maple syrup cask is completely different than a flavored whiskey. It's intended to have just that essence, just the little bit of that maple syrup aroma, and then a little bit of taste, little hint in there. So, and that's back to that process. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So as we're proofing this down, wherever that essence is not too much and
not too little.
And not too little. Yeah, It's got to be just the right amount.
I think what I like about this. Like sometimes I try some whiskeys and it'll blow your ears out when you sip it.
Right.
This is you get that and then wow, okay, it's a nice little vibe, right? I mean, it's pretty. I don't know if that's the smooth, but it gives you a nice boom, and then you're like, okay,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
You guys, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of sipping going on. I'm guessing
there is. There's
yeah.
It's all about
maintaining a calm, is what it sounds like. You have to.
There's a lot of, I'll put it this way. I think I have. We're definitely onto something here as far as, we target that top shelf premium luxury brand whiskey, and that's why, we've got a pretty high price point. We're not replicating, we're not making the same exact whiskey from batch to batch. It's unique, but it's also good and smooth, and, and like I said, we maximize that flavor. So, I have a habit of everything I taste, whether it's food or whiskey, I'm always looking for a way to improve it.
Yeah.
I'll say, wow, that's amazing. However, There's always a however. If you, it's like a chef. Okay, we're taking steak, chicken, pork, fish, and we've got this spice rack. And I'll tell you, I had an executive chef in a tasting group one time, and people were asking, "Why do you blend? Why don't you produce what you want? Why don't you distill?" Well, reason number one is these are 8, 9, 10-year-old whiskeys. And there's already some really good stuff out there. We've got an incredible inventory that ranges from 6 to 23 years old. So
wow. Okay. You got a lot of stuff.
We've got a
going
lot
too,
of stuff.
don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll take those really good whiskeys, really good bourbons, rye whiskeys, and blend them with others and highlight the savory components, for maximum profile.
Yeah.
But that's what we do. I mean, we're looking to hit that top tier shelf, and every time you taste a Golden Sheaf whiskey, you'll know, okay, the next one comes out, you're going to know that it's going to be a good whiskey. So far, I think we're doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. There's after sitting around too for a while. I mean, because you take a lot of notes, right? After sitting there, and before I took that last one, it's just kind of nice little. I don't know. I've buttery, waffle. I don't know what it is, but there's something that's like, all right, that's good.
With this one, I always apologize that I don't have any French toast, because I do get that. It's almost.
Do you?
It's absolutely, yeah. It reminds me of French toast. So I get that cinnamon. I get that buttery.
There's just something after we're just sitting here, like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah. All right. That's. And I got it. You're not just saying it because this is Omaha Sips and Tips show.
No, not at all.
It's
okay,
I
think
get
we're
that
on
too.
the same page.
Nice. Okay. I'm on it.
I'm just going to keep pouring too.
Yeah, let's do that. I know you're busy and you got a lot of stuff. Now, how many things do you have going at any given time?
I mean, different blends.
Said you have, whiskey from 6 to 23 years.
Yep.
And I've seen some pictures of like the barrels. And I think I heard on the podcast. It's not just, sitting around waiting and it's ready and you go. Right. There's like rolling barrels and tasting and constant stuff going on.
There's a lot of experimentation behind the scenes, and it's so there's a little bit of waiting, but there's always other stuff to be made. That's one thing I do is I get out and I shop a lot. I just got back from a long trip and was shopping for whiskeys in 7 different states, and that's what I'm always looking for. Is
so when you're out shopping for whiskeys, and because in my brain I'm just thinking, hey, there's a big whiskey barrel. That's what you're buying.
Yep.
You're looking for.
Yep. Buying by the barrel.
And then like if you also buy the barrels from different places, like the James Arthur port.
To do finishes.
Yeah, to do finishes. So you buy them and then you pour them into those barrels. Is that?
Yep. A lot of these are collaborations. So yeah, this is a collaboration with James Arthur Vineyards, who celebrated. That's Nebraska's largest and oldest vineyard.
James Arthur. There it is.
James Arthur Vineyards. They celebrated their 25th year last year, and one of the ways they celebrated was they dumped their red port. Two barrels of 12-year-old red port.
Okay.
And we were fortunate enough to get a hold of both of those. We put rye in one. We put bourbon in the other. You've got the bourbon finished in port over there.
Yeah.
Which we released back in December. And then this is essentially its sister that's coming out, like I mentioned, this week. So what this is a...
Got it. Okay. And that's what you just
This poured. Is what I just poured. Yeah, so... This is this is pretty complex. I'm really
Is it okay?
Yeah.
All right.
This is a wheated rye finished in a port cask. Okay. A wheated rye.
There's a lot going on.
There's a
lot
of boxes. It's also cask strength. It's a lot of different things.
Now rye is a grain. Have you ever seen this rye grain? Because I never see any rye grain anywhere. You never say, hey, look. People say there's a wheat field, there's a corn field, and you never say, oh. There's a rye field. That's a rye field.
I'm sure you have. I'm
really?
Sure, yeah,
okay.
I'm sure everybody has. It's like it's no different than a wheat or it looks like a wheat field essentially. But yeah, it's all grains. That's the thing about bourbon is in order to be considered bourbon, it must be 51% or more corn.
Okay.
Must be aged in a brand new charred oak vessel or barrel.
Okay.
No added coloring, no added flavor.
This is all natural stuff here.
All natural stuff, yeah. 51% or more corn. It can be any other grains. You can put quinoa in there, any other grains you want.
Whatever you want to do. You got something like that working, do you? The quinoa
no
blend?
quinoa. No quinoa blend.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, yeah. Looking at a rice blend.
Okay.
We've got a lot of experimental stuff.
Okay,
but we've also
cool.
got our core products, too. We've got our straight bourbon, which is, again, high-end. This year's bourbon rye going to be, close to that 9-year point. Last year we were 8 years on both of those 8-year blends. This year 9, 10-year-old. Yeah, this one, and I always have to look at the back of these, but this is I'm pretty sure this is a 8-year blend. So the mash bill on this is 61% rye because it's a rye, so that primary grain is the majority. In order to be considered rye, it has to be 51% or more rye. So 61% rye, 20% corn, 15% wheat, and 4% malted barley. So this is also a 4-grain, which makes it a little more unique.
Okay. I'm ready. What's an education on, this is learning for people wanting to get into the whiskey, bourbons.
This is at the top of my list right now, one of my favorites.
That's really nice.
Thanks.
It's got that nice little zip at the end there. It's different. Something. Yeah,
really
there's
a stark contrast from
right at the beginning. It's real smooth.
Yep.
Right when you get in the mouth, it's just kind of okay.
See, you're really good at this, Sean.
Is that right?
Yeah,
so I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I haven't read any of these things. I look at the website. I'm like,
I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. I encourage people to drink whiskey the way that they enjoy it, describe it the best they can. I do a couple of exercises. There's one where we'll do a tasting. We'll have 3 or 4 different whiskeys, and we'll have a 100% corn whiskey, 100% rye whiskey, 100% wheat whiskey, but we'll pair it with a little piece of cornbread, and then a little piece of rye bread, and a little piece of wheat bread. And it's really interesting because once you taste the bourbon, taste that 100% corn whiskey, and then eat a piece of cornbread, because most people are familiar with bread, wheat bread, cornbread, it connects a dot in your head. And it's incredible how many people just go, I get it now. Up until that point, they don't realize that whiskey or bourbon is majority corn-based.
I really like the beginning of this and the end. It's pretty, yeah. And you do this, and so let's say on a typical deal like that, you're blending it, and do you taste these every day, or is it like a week process while you're waiting for it to hit the next proofing level, or is that how it works?
It depends. It really depends. I experienced something that I'll call palate blowout recently, which is really scary. And yeah, basically it means I was drinking too much. And not to justify it, but not in a social setting. It was absolutely just day after day after day.
Just doing it.
To the point to where I couldn't taste anything. And it really, really scared me. So I waited a couple days before I tried anything at all, and it started to come back. And then I actually gave it a good week and a half before I tasted anything at all. And so now I'll do that on occasion. I'll go a week without tasting.
Just take a break.
Just take a break, yeah. Just kind of cleanse the body.
People, you have to be conscious. You have to take a break. You can't drink whiskey every day. So if you're doing it, take a break. You don't want to blow out those taste buds and the palate.
Right. When you think about
it. That's a tip.
That's a tip.
Take a break, folks. Yeah, take care of yourself and don't blow anything out. So that's good. I do really like that. That's real cool. I'm ecstatic that you're here, man.
Good. I'm happy to be here.
We're going to start hanging out. I think I'm going to start showing up wherever you go.
That sounds great. We've got an event right after this. Let's head on over.
Yeah, all right. I saw that. I've seen that place, and it looks real cool. And I think you were out there a couple weeks ago, and I was like, every time I'm out, I'm on vacation, I'm doing something, I'm thinking, I got to find out. What events do you have out? Like, are you going to be any place over the next few weeks? Like, hey, I'm going to do a drawing and give swag someplace, or bottle drawings, or signed bottles. You doing any of that?
Yeah, do that all the time. I do it kind of on demand sometimes.
Okay.
But a lot of times we schedule these out based on the product releases.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Have to be back in the office, running the business.
Sometimes,
yeah. So tonight we'll be out at Bottles and Barrels on 204th and Q, and they're sampling it's just kind of a whiskey with me kind of thing. So we have a number of different whiskeys, real informal, just kind of taste and talk and learn. Not even no format, no agenda.
That's exactly what this show is. Have you noticed that? It's we're just sitting here chit chatting. We'll talk about some stuff. It gets edited. We put it together. It's gonna be fun.
The best.
It'll be great.
It's the best.
It's great to listen to when you're driving, or you can get a visual on everybody and see two 26-year-olds sipping whiskey.
I love that.
That's the best deal. Yeah,
I think we just became best friends.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Well, we're definitely gonna do that. So yeah. Okay. What about 4th of July weekend? You got anything coming up for that where you're like, yeah, man,
I have a couple of private events.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. That's pretty big time.
Gosh, I without looking at my calendar, I was just telling Sean, my business partner.
Okay.
Thanks for, gosh, where would I be without a reliable business partner and a calendar? Because it's really tough to keep track of. We do quite a few of these trying to grow the brand.
If I'm right, I see you doing a lot of these things, and I see him. He's at Comic-Cons. He's getting pictures, with people from The Walking Dead and whatnot. So, someone's got to do this stuff.
I got to give Sean a lot of credit. Sean is really, I think I've corrupted him too.
Oh, have you?
I think he loves it so much that he wants to spend more time doing this. He's at all the events. He's always there. And,
Is he? Okay.
We do a lot of these together. So, it's a great partnership. Couldn't have a better business partner.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a cool. No, how did you meet him?
Well, so I mean,
how do you get hooked up as partner? Is it just the two of you guys, the main?
Just two of us. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just two of us.
Yeah.
Well, Sean's an attorney, so that's where it started.
Kind of get started. Hey, I'd love to get interested.
Growing this business,
like this.
And then eventually cool. we work some things out. We also have overlapped. I was in cybersecurity for 25-ish years.
Okay.
So much for being 25 years old.
No, shoot, you just gave it away.
I just gave away the secret. They went by really fast.
Yeah,
I always say I can work an 8-hour day in 30 minutes. So
yeah.
So, we cross paths from time to time. Sean's been in tech and, data centers. And, I can tell you back in early 2000s, we sat across the table from each other and data center meetings and that sort of thing. But he's also well known as far as being the business, almost a local Shark Tank kind of guy.
Yeah,
So we're I feel like the best team for Golden Sheaf. All the things that we've got going on.
I thought he was going to leave at one point, Sean. So if you ever get to this point on Saturday morning, you said, "Hey, I'm going to bring you a bottle of whiskey," and he never did.
Oh no, well. He was probably.
But you know what? I went out here and I got that, and you stopped me from opening it because it's a collector's edition. It's a collector's edition. I'm keeping it.
Sure.
My biggest dream is to seriously. I was telling you about those guys, and they were going all around with Golden Sheaf, which is fantastic reviews and people liking it. But this guy out of the blue, hey man, check out these pictures. And there's Golden Sheaf stuff on his. It's a cool thing. This is the thing, So I was like, oh God, I need to.
I love that.
Watch my stuff. Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Well, every time I get a lot of pictures. I see a lot of stuff on social. People will text things over, and it warms my heart every time to see.
Cool. All right.
That people are really. It's in high demand. We're doing a lot of unique things. We've got a lot of different things going on. We're trying to grow the brand, create the awareness and get it out there, and it's so far so good.
It's
we're also
great.
having a great time.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that you're doing. This is like my. It's my new addiction is Golden Sheaf, and again, the podcast is just pretty fun.
Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to hear that. That's very nice.
Plus, you're a personal guy. You know what I mean?
Hey,
if Dixon gonna watch this, because sometimes I feel like he's just, you know what? Let's just really talk about that. And I'm like, okay, all right. I tell people this show is really about characters, right? You come on here, you're a small business, most people. We're gonna drink something here. We're just gonna chit chat. We're gonna talk about, life, and it's really just like a comedy, right? It's just like a show.
Yeah,
you either like the characters, you're like,
or you don't.
Tune away. So
absolutely.
And it's not about, hey, this, and this. Hey, we got to do this.
It's not scripted.
We just totally unscripted. We just chit chat.
Yep. I
like it. It's been fun. I meet a lot of people. Just doing this and doing fun things. So it's real cool, and I really especially appreciate when somebody brings a bunch of whiskey out that we
That's
can
the
taste.
thing. This is it's an enabler. It's a binder. It's great. That's one of the things I love about it is not only in the industry are people extremely friendly and helpful, and that's just it. If you don't resonate with those kind of people, then you're kind of on your own. And however, that's what people want to do is they want to share whiskey and talk and hang out and get to know one another. And
I'm really amazed about it. I don't know if you saw. Do you manage the Facebook page? You guys do?
Yeah,
you have
some of it. Yep.
There's this cat. They're going through his house. He's got whiskey. I got 792 bottles of whiskey. Yeah. I think I mentioned, I'm like, man,
walking up
do you
the
have
stairs.
a gold? Yeah, okay, you saw that one.
I did see it.
I was like, wow, that's a lot of 700. That's a lot of bottles.
That's a lot of bottles.
I'm like, hey, man, do you have a bottle of Golden Sheaf whiskey on there? So I don't know. And there is a different type of crowd who's really whiskey oriented, like the guy I was telling you about, and these videos. So it's a cool vibe. It's a cool thing. I'm digging it. So I'm learning. I've already learned a ton.
Well, good.
Number one, I'm gonna have to get some of these little glasses.
Yeah, I'd love to leave a couple of these here with you.
Oh man, you know what? I'd like that, and then nobody can,
give you a hard time about. Yeah. So I brought something for you.
Let's do that. We got to wind down because I know you got stuff that you got to do. Okay.
So this is something that's in the works right now. It's not in stores. I'll tell you what it is. It's kind of this is the sister of the bourbon finished in port.
Okay.
We were fortunate enough to get white port casks from James Arthur Vineyards.
Oh, okay.
So we did the same thing. Filled one with bourbon, one with rye. This is the rye after 2 months of being in a cask.
Okay.
So I want to share that with you and see. I hope I got.
Does
the
anybody
right
else? How many? Are you the only one who tasted it? So I'm like number 2.
We'll say yes.
Yeah. You know what? That sounds great. We'll say yeah. You're only the second guy. Normally I do it, but we're gonna.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Double.
I want to make sure I brought the right sample there, but so this is a rye.
You can kind of smell the white.
So this is
the port, right?
Yeah.
Or it's a white.
It's a white port,
yeah.
So it's a sweet white wine. I can't tell you off the top of my head how long that was in the barrel, but it's nor can I tell you what the rye blend is that's in there, but it's been in there for, and this says about a month and a half.
Well, listen, that place is like a chemist place. Take a look, folks. We got a little jar. This is how things are blended and put together.
Which
is cool, right? I mean, yeah. This is the stuff people don't see. This is what they want to see. They want to get
right behind the scenes.
Oh man, you got drop bottles and whatnot. So. Oh, that's cool.
This is my world, walking around with bottles and
just pulling them out of your.
Go out to proof and kind of share with that's the focus group, right? You pony up to the bar and hand out a couple samples with their approval, of course, but and just kind of get some feedback. I like to socialize my blends. I've got at any given time maybe a dozen different blends in the works.
Okay.
And when I feel like it's worthy of getting feedback, then I'll take it out and share. And so
that's a nice little.
This is something I'm really impressed with. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get excited about all of the things that we're doing. But when I get super excited about something, I feel like this is international competition worthy. I feel. By the way,
you did win those, yeah.
We just did, yeah. We won for that one, the one that you bought over there. We won 2 platinum medals for taste, and then one for the marketing or for the design of the
that's
label.
Cool. Yeah,
that was about a month ago.
As we're doing this, I'm smelling this first one. I mean, I can really smell the maple syrup. That has a red smell to it to me.
That's how I describe it too.
Okay,
it's so. And what I always tell people is I feel like the wheat has kind of softened it up, and so it's you don't get that dark. Red, bold, sweet port flavor, but you get it softens it up. So I almost get like a vanilla cherry. This one,
that's really good too. Wow, that is nice.
And this is, and actually I realized after I showed this to you, this is not the most recent sample. So that's one thing I do is I
check
the progress. Yeah. So this is the most recent sample is even a little more. I get a lot of caramel and vanilla, smooth, kind of creamy in this. It's really surprising because for a rye, which is traditionally peppery and spicy, and by the way, this is. You want to guess the proof on this one?
$115.
This is 127. This is 127 proof. Yeah. I love how it sort of organically mellows itself out.
That's got a. I kind of like. It's got a good aftertaste. I'm tasting some. Of course, it could be these other two mixing, but I mean, I'm sure you've got a good.
We're kind of rapid
vibe.
tasting here.
Wow,
it's different.
What do you got going here? You got to do a couple more tweaks, a couple more months, maybe even a year, probably.
I don't know. Sure. It's a lot of these. We started out with this maple. It ended up being in the maple cask for 4 months. It's really trial and error. You know? And Dixon and I just had a debate about this on the podcast. It's and his philosophy is when it's ready, you get it the hell out of the barrel, and it's ready to go. You put it in the bottle and go. And I'm a little, let's go ahead and ease off the gas here a bit, and let's just see how far we coast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And kind of
because it really doesn't matter, right? Because it's all about
the
people for you. Like you want to have a product that is acceptable tasting to number one you and to everybody. Else.
Yeah, I want to meet the standards of Golden Sheaf. The standards of being that luxury brand. Here's the glory of blending, though, is if something, let's say something. So I'll give you a better example. I'm working on a product now. It's going to be a higher end product. It's going to be come in a really nice packaging design. It's pretty strong stuff. High-end packaging and design. It's going to be an older blend. And so what I'm working with is I've got some 10-year-old, some 13-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, and some 23-year-old whiskeys that I'm blending together. Now, 23-year-old, you would think just because it's older, it's better. That's not the case. It's not always the case. I would say it's rarely the case because, especially in bourbon, you get more of that over-oaked flavor. And so there's... So you wouldn't necessarily drink it as a single barrel.
Okay, got it.
So that's where blending with a younger, so you figure out how to round off those unsavory components and incorporate some of the more savory components of the younger whiskeys, and then find that middle ground.
All right.
That's ultimately what. So back to my story that I didn't finish.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, not your fault. The executive chef that was at my tasting, I lost track of what I was saying. The executive chef says, "Hey, let me give you my analogy." He says, "I'm an executive chef." He says, I take, pork, fish, steak, chicken, and that's what I start with, and I've got this amazing spice rack, and then make amazing dishes. And he says, have you ever gone fishing and pulled a fish out of the ocean and smelled it and gone, that smells amazing? Probably not.
Right.
I mean, I've had tuna, cut in, sushi right from the sea, but aside from that, I mean, it's fishy, right? So that's where you incorporate those other flavors and you mask that fishy aroma. Nobody's ever said,
that's a good description.
That smells fishy.
That's right.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here. So it's taking those, the higher end, because there's some really good components in those older whiskeys, but they're also there's some additional things that are just unsavory, too oaky, too
you need to get rid of while
too
you're
spicy,
putting them together.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, spicy. Is that spicy? Is that what we call it? If it's blowing out your ears and your whole face.
I think spicy is a term typically unique to like a rye type of grain.
Okay,
you actually get that peppery, traditional like bacon spice. Really peppery, and then if it's a higher proof, then it's going to accentuate that spicy note as well, and that's you can go both ways. You can emphasize the unsavory notes, which is not what we want to do. We want to do the opposite of that, and be able to maximize those good flavor components.
Well, I'm looking forward to whenever you do this one, because I do like it, and I appreciate that I got to taste it.
Well, thank you for tasting it
on this show, and I know you got things to do, so it's probably a good wind down.
Okay,
because you got to get out.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun, pleasure. I was looking forward to it for the last couple of weeks.
Oh man, me too. You know what? I hate to tell you this, I don't know what you think. Sean Lee's a freak. But last night I was like, I went to bed and I woke up and I was like, man, do I have everything? I got to make sure that this could be a cool deal. I wanted to make sure that
awesome.
You were expecting something decent and kind of fun, and it wasn't too this guy's.
Oh man, this is great.
Cornball dude.
No, I love it. I've seen your episodes. I love what you're doing.
Man, I appreciate that.
I think you got a great thing going on here. Honored to be here, be able to talk about my passion. So thank you. Cheers
I like your passion.
You.
Thank you, man. Let's do it. Thanks a lot. Hey, thanks for these 2 glasses.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sean Lee with Omaha Sips and Tips. Thanks for tuning in. Check out David Young.
Golden Sheaf.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.